Here's what you need to know about the tech bro immigrant labor loophole being exploited by dark MAGA. What is the HB1 visa category? That is the question that was asked by the American Immigration Council. The H-1B is a temporary non-immigrant visa category that allows employers to petition for highly educated foreign professionals who can work in, quote, specialty occupations. These visas require that the person getting them has at least a bachelor's degree or the equivalent, and that they are seeking a job in a field such as mathematics, engineering, technology, or medical sciences. That's typically who qualifies for these H-1B visas. Some folks would call it the visa that tech bros use to exploit foreign workers. Now, it felt worth defining right up front what is an H-1B visa, because we're going to talk about what the MAGA girlies have been fighting about, and about how what they're fighting about may be a little confusing to you if you're like a normal person. Ryan Mack and Ken Binsinger over at New York Times break down the infighting in MAGA pretty well in an article titled "Trump Backers Battle Online Over Skilled Immigrants." This piece details how a rift has formed between many of Trump's biggest supporters, the people I like to call trad MAGA, aka Trump's longtime super loyal biggest supporters, and how much immigration is too much immigration up against what the needs of Trump's new supporters, I think they're calling themselves dark MAGA or tech MAGA, have for their businesses. Now, the lines are being drawn specifically in terms of folks with H-1B visas, which are used rather dominantly in the tech industry. Now, dark MAGA and trad MAGA agree on a lot of things, like that women should stay home and have a million children, and that trans kids should get to play sports. But one thing that they don't agree on is how much immigration is too much immigration, and what types of immigrants should be allowed into the country to work. So, the line is being drawn specifically in terms of people with H-1B visas. H-1B visas are used dominantly in the tech industry. You know, the place that shadow president Emerald Mines originated from? Well, according to The Times, this all started with who else but professional troll and, quote, the most banned woman in America, Laura Loomer, criticizing Trump for selecting Saram Krishnan, an Indian-American venture capitalist, to act as an advisor on AI policy. She referred to him and other Indian Americans, like J.D. Vance's wife, Usha Vance, as, quote, third world invaders. Ugh. Here are the battle lines. You've got trad MAGA on one side of Twitter, okay? Folks like Laura Loomer and Nikki Haley and Steve Bannon. Steve Bannon, who painted immigration as a broader threat to the West, and Nikki Haley, who was saying the tech industry is lazy for outsourcing work to H-1B visas, when there are plenty of Americans who have been trained to do tech jobs. And then on the other side, you have dark MAGA. David Sachs, Elon Musk, Vivek Ramaswamy, who are all saying that H-1B visas are a non-negotiable. They have to have them. Elon Musk threatening fights like you've never seen before in your life if anybody touches his H-1B visas. This is an interesting point. Now, the H-1B visa thing hits hard for Elon Musk because he claims that he came here on an H-1B visa. He didn't. He came here on a student visa that he overstayed, which is illegal, and he was, at least for some period of time, per his own brother's words, an illegal immigrant. And number two, as the New York Times puts it, Elon Musk helped amplify the debunked theory that it was the Democrats that were encouraging undocumented immigrants to come across the border to vote, thus replacing American voters. Elon Musk is a naturalized citizen born in South Africa, okay, who isn't really sure which visa he came here on and who has a lot of thoughts about who's a good and who's a bad immigrant. Musk has spoken out frequently against immigration, categorizing it as a threat to the national sovereignty and endorsing messages calling non-citizens invaders. Bro, what? Now, I don't have a stake in this argument because this particular argument basically boils down to, do we go full extremist or do we make exceptions for extremism if it benefits us? Personally, I'm a fan of the third option, where all of these folks test one of Elon's rockets and maybe go explore Mars together, okay? Contrary to the band name's promise, it does not in fact take 30 seconds to get to Mars. It takes over a year. Maybe they go and together they could just magify Mars and leave us all alone. Because I refuse to side with Laura Loomer or Elon Musk on this fight, so I'm just keeping myself out of it. I'm a little more interested in the bigger picture surrounding the questions that MAGA is asking. Because look, the life of a person on an H-1B visa is extremely exploitative. Their ability to be in this country is tied directly to their employment, so they can't say no to any of the jobs that they obtain. And that means that job descriptions mean nothing. A lot of folks will look at how much money an H-1B visa is paid and they'll say, oh, $70,000. That's a pretty good salary, until you realize that that person working on that visa is probably doing multiple jobs and working a minimum of 80 hours a week, not just a 40-hour week. So don't take it from me. The Economic Policy Institute reported just last year that, quote, since employers aren't required to test the U.S. labor market to see if any workers are available before they hire an H-1B visa worker or pay their H-1B visa workers a fair wage, employers exploit the program. Rather than turning to the H-1B program as a last resort when U.S. workers can't be found, most employers just hire H-1B visa workers straight off the bat. In fact, most employers are hiring H-1B workers because they can be underpaid, and they are de facto indentured servants to the employer. Who are you going to complain to? Fact remains, it is hard out there for people on an H-1B visa. There's even an entire blog dedicated to H-1B horror stories, as well as article after article detailing the horrors of H-1B programs from the point of view of those exploited by it. And it gets worse, due to government incompetence, of course. In a piece for Quartz, it's outlined that, quote, hundreds of thousands of H-1B visa workers from India are stuck in decades-long green card queues. There are an estimated 200,000 people who will die of old age before they reach the front of the line. Let's remember that there are people at the center of this, and it's not their fault that tech people who are trying to maximize shareholder profits are exploiting them. It's a system that we benefit from as a country, to have foreign labor come here and work and give us their smarts and their dreams and their passions. But it's something that we should absolutely be protecting them from any kind of damage or exploitation, the way we would any other person. Now, it does appear that the MAGA-DOGE civil war, as Axios called it, is over. And Trump has supported dark MAGA, leaving trad MAGA in the dust, okay? He's come out in support of Elon Musk's opinion on H-1B visas, saying, I have many H-1B visas on my properties. I've been a believer in H-1B. I've used it many times. It's a great program, which is a complete reversal of what he did in his first term as president, in which he instituted policies where Trump said that he would personally regulate and limit H-1B visas. My, how times change. And trad MAGA has taken notice, and they are pissed. They are joining with millions of people who searched, can I change my votes, or have voiced disappointment with Trump's new direction, which pretty obviously abandons trad MAGA, and those are the people who made him who he is. He don't care anymore. Now he's riding with the billionaire buddies, and he's doing whatever it takes to line his own pockets, as he always has. He has no loyalty. Now, there are two stories here that we need to be aware of as we go forward. One, the H-1B visa program is incredibly flawed and needs nurturing, not further exploitation. And we should be ensuring that the millions of Americans who learned to code or were trained for these jobs have first shot at those jobs before we bring in foreign labor. Two, MAGA fractures are perhaps deeper than we expected. And we are seeing people, MAGA chuds or not, that are saying fucking Laura Loomer has a point. That is both cool in the moment and a little bit dangerous. Because like we know with all disinformation and misinformation and conspiracy theories, the first time you believe one thing somebody says, that's like the first hit's free, and then you start to pay for each hit after that. What will the people who sided with Laura Loomer on the H-1B visa topic have to say about her feelings on many of the other ideas she has for this country? That does scare me just a little bit, but that'll be for next time.